What's up everyone, welcome back. We're doing another video on the JIGHEAD minnow. This time we're talking about the jig heads. Doesn't matter which one you use. I'll tell you my opinions, my experiences right now. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you like this content. This channel is dedicated to the latest and greatest in fishing. A lot of talk right now is on the JIGHEAD minnow, so we're going to talk about it a little bit more right now. I'm definitely not the first to ever do this. I mean, I've been doing it for almost 2 years now, fishing the mid-strolling technique. You know, I've used a lot of different jig heads. The cool thing is more and more jig heads are coming out. So I'm going to walk you through some of the most popular jig heads that I've used, what I like about them, what I don't like about them, and then give you some insights on how they act when you're doing the mid-strolling technique. So when I first started with this technique, you know, I kind of got a hint that it was happening. You know, I started seeing signs of it on the Bassmaster Opens. A lot of the Japanese anglers doing it, started experimenting with it in the fall of 2022. Worked really, really well. At the time, all you really had was a round jig head, and that's still perfectly fine. You can use any round jig head you like. But as the technique has become more popular, there's a lot more emphasis on the style of jig head, you know, with different hooks, line placement. There's so many different things that have changed in such a short time. And there's a lot of really good jig heads on the market and a lot more coming out. So I'm going to walk you through some of them, tell you what I like and don't like about each one, and then give you some insight on if it even matters what jig head you use. So I'll start off with the Northland Smeltonator. And this just became distributed by Northland in the last year or so. You know, it was made before that. This is what Gussie used to win the classic with the technique called moping, which is similar to mid-strolling but different, but the principle remains the same. You know, having a jig head and a minnow, moving it through the middle of the water column and catching those suspended bass. That's what he did to win the Elite Series event and the classic, and you know, the rest is history. But the jig head itself, the things that I really like about this is they are available in tons and tons of different sizes. And what else is cool is they're really customizable. So like this is a 3/8, but you can get this in a 1/0 hook, a 2/0 hook, a 3/0 hook. I mean, there's so many options of what you can do to match different baits and sizes. This happens to be a 3/8 with a 2/0 hook, but again, you can get a smaller hook, bigger hook, all sorts of colors. Has a nice keeper on there. The line tie is right, so I really do like the Northland Smeltonator. Now, this one right here, you know, look, it looks very, very similar. That is the Dirty Jigs guppy head on the top. So you could obviously see where they got the inspiration for it. Both of these are very good, very similar in that they have the right line tie, good colors, good sizes, solid hook, everything that you want to shake a minnow, mid-stroll, hover stroll, moping, tight lining, whatever you want to call it. But really it is called mid-strolling, but you know, it's called by a lot of different names. If you like to do anything with the jig head minnow, this is a good option. Now we'll move on to a couple different tungsten options. I don't have any more of the Queen Tackle live sonar jigs, the tungsten jig heads. I've used those, they're really good, kind of expensive, obviously because it's tungsten. I've lost my last one, so I don't have any, but this is the Kitech Super Round Jig Head. So these are round ball head, right line tie, and tungsten. So the theory is that tungsten is harder, so it shows up more on live sonar, which I am not sold on that, honestly. You know, they make a great head, they are heavier and smaller, huge benefit there, but I am not sold that you can see it that much better than lead. I'm just gonna say that right now. A lot of people swear by it. If it makes a difference to you, definitely do it. But tungsten is a good option to have a smaller, more compact jig head, and they're very good quality, whether it's the Kitech version or the Queen Tackle version. Now at ICAST this year, Queen Tackle came out with a unique jig head that I haven't tried yet. It's a round ball head, but the line tie is actually further over here. It looks like it's almost on backwards than it would be on a 60 degree, you know, where the line tie is over here. It's actually right there. So again, this is the Kitech version, but I'm just giving it as an example. That new Queen Tackle is very, very intriguing to see how it performs and how the bait rolls. So moving on to some other innovations. You know, again, this is such a popular technique that companies are coming out with a bunch of crazy ideas. Some work, some don't. Some maybe just catch more anglers. I mean, that's just how it is in the fishing world. So I'm kind of undecided on this one. I'm gonna show you right now. This is the Gambler head. It is the FFS head, I believe it's called, but it has all these ridges on there, and that is supposed to show up better on your forward-facing sonar. It's a good jig head. It's a good hook, got an eye on it, but you can see those ridges on it, really unique. And then it has a keeper on there. They don't hold up the best though. I'm just gonna say that right there. I don't know if I've caught too many fish on this, but I don't know if you could see that, but that hook is just jiggling right there. So it's a little bit loose. So maybe I've caught too many fish on it. I don't know, but that is something I noticed about this one, grabbing it to show you. Maybe it's just bouncing around the box too much, but take that for what it's worth. You can see I've caught some fish on this. This is that that gambler head with a evergreen bass enemy stick. This is kind of a cool bait, by the way. It has that little keeper on there, I guess, to protect your hook a little bit, make it a little bit more weedless. It's still gonna snag into brush piles and stuff, but it is kind of a cool idea so you don't get as much grass on there if you're fishing around grass. Okay, so moving on to what I think is my favorite jig head, and this is the Owner Range Roller. So this technique has exploded over the last few years, and a lot of companies are making jig heads like this for this technique. This one, if you can see how the weight is on there, this makes your bait roll incredibly well. You know, the weight is kind of more pushed up. It's got a great keeper. This thing definitely makes any bait roll more. So I definitely like this jig head. It is not cheap, but it has an Owner hook, very good keeper, and you get your bait to roll a bunch. So this may be my favorite jig head right now. Now the newest one that I just started playing with is the Gamakatsu Horizon head. So this is the LG version, so it's got a bigger bite in the hook. So this was designed for, you know, thicker plastics, but that hook point and the style is said to make the bait roll a little bit more. I haven't used it enough to give a full opinion on it, but it's a Gamakatsu hook. It's got that nano coating, so the hook itself is incredible. Gamakatsu is really good quality for all the way through. It's got a good solid keeper. Again, I haven't used it enough to say that it is better than the other ones, but it is definitely gaining a lot of attention. There's the LG version and then the standard version. So there are so many jig heads out there. You know, even at iCast this year, I saw some that have a split ring on there that's supposed to get the bait to roll a little bit more. I was talking to one Bass Pro Tour angler about that jig head. He said, why not just tie a loop knot? That's what he does. So that is another way you can get the bait to roll. No matter what jig head you use, you tie a little loop knot, but that's gonna get that bait to move a little bit more. So like I said, this technique is evolving. People are finding all kinds of ways to get that bait to roll. So your minnow looks different than all the other minnows that are out there. So those are some of the jig heads that I've been using. Obviously there's so many more coming out. There's so many more I need to try. But really, I think the main thing is getting a good bait that will do the roll, having the right equipment, having the right cadence down to get that bait to shake and roll. And obviously being around fish, that is the #1 thing. So finding them with your forward-facing sonar, presenting that bait properly, and getting them to react with your minnow. So this is just the beginning of a huge push for forward-facing sonar baits, equipment, gear, jig heads. Let me know, which ones am I missing? What's your favorite jig head minnow jig head? I'd like to know, because there's always new tricks out there, new stuff coming out, stuff I missed. Let me know your favorites in the comments below, and thanks for watching.